Drill Sergeant Vextar stood in the training hall, his forearms crossed behind his back. His blue crystal skin caught the bright lights from above. Today was not like other days. Today, humans would come to the Galactic Military Academy for the first time. Vextar had trained soldiers for 20 years. He had seen Graxians with their stone skin that could stop bullets. He had trained Zilani warriors with claws sharp enough to cut metal. He had worked with Krathan fighters like himself, born with natural armor and multiple arms for battle. But humans. Vextar looked at the files on his desk again. These Earth creatures had no claws, no armor, no extra arms. Their skin was thin and soft. They had only 2 eyes, not the compound vision of his people. They seemed weak. Pathetic, Vextar said to himself, his voice like rocks grinding together. They will not last one day. The academy doors opened with a loud hiss. 4 beings walked in. They were smaller than most aliens in the hall. Their skin was smooth and pale. They wore simple gray uniforms that looked too big for their thin bodies. Other alien cadets stopped what they were doing. A group of Graxian soldiers, each one 8 feet tall with skin like stone, looked down at the humans and laughed. Their deep voices echoed in the hall. "Look at those tiny things," one Graxian said. "They look like they will break if we touch them." A Zilani cadet flicked her razor claws in the air. "I could cut them in half without trying," she hissed. But the humans did not seem afraid. They walked in a straight line, their backs straight and their eyes forward. The one in front, a young male, had short black hair and calm dark eyes. He looked around the room once, then focused ahead. Vextar stepped forward. His heavy feet made loud sounds on the metal floor. All talking stopped. The drill sergeant was known for making new cadets cry on their first day. His forearms moved as he walked, and his crystal skin seemed to glow with angry light. "New meat," Vextar roared. His voice was so loud it hurt alien ears. "You think you can be soldiers? You think you can fight in the great galactic wars?" Most new cadets would shake or step back. The Graxians had trembled on their first day. Even the proud Zilani had shown fear when Vextar used his full voice. But the human in front did not move. His dark eyes met Vextar's compound gaze without blinking. The other 3 humans stood perfectly still behind him, like they were made of metal. This surprised Vextar. He moved closer, using his full height to tower over the small human. "What is your name, Softskin?" "Li Jin, sir," the human said. His voice was steady and clear. "Li Jin," Vextar repeated, making the name sound like an insult. "Do you know where you are, Li Jin?" "The Galactic Military Academy, sir." "Do you know what we do here?" "Train soldiers, sir." Vextar's forearms spread wide. "We break weak things and make them strong. We take soft creatures and make them hard. But you?" He pointed one clawed finger at Li Jin. "You cannot be made strong. You are human. You are nothing." Li Jin did not answer. He just stood there, waiting. Vextar turned to the other humans. "And you 3? Do you have names?" "Park Su, sir," said the female with long black hair. "Kim Do, sir," said the second male, shorter than Li Jin. "Choi Yu, sir," said the other female, who looked very young. "Park Su, Kim Do, Choi Yu." Vextar said each name slowly. Pathetic human names for pathetic human creatures. He walked around them in a circle. The other alien cadets watched with interest. This was always fun to see. New cadets getting broken down by the drill sergeant. "Do you know," Vextar said, "that the training here kills some cadets? Do you know that we have a medical bay full of broken bodies? Do you know that most of your kind would die in the first week?" "We understand the risks, sir," Li Jin said. "Risks?" Vextar laughed. The sound was like breaking glass. "Risk is when something might happen. Death is certain for you soft things." He stopped in front of Park Su. She was smaller than Li Jin with a quiet face. "You, female. Why are you here?" "To serve, sir." "Serve?" Vextar's crystal skin flashed brighter. "You cannot even serve food without breaking the plates. How will you serve in battle?" Park Soo did not answer. She kept looking straight ahead. Vextar moved to Kim Do. And you, small one? What makes you think you can be a soldier? I want to learn, sir. Learn? Vexitar roared. This is not school. This is war training. We do not teach. We break and rebuild. Finally, he stood before Choi Yu. She looked like she could be in school still, very young and small. And you, child? Did you get lost, looking for your mother? For the first time, one of the humans showed emotion. Choi Yu's eyes flashed with something hot and dangerous, but her voice stayed calm. I am here to train, sir. Vextar saw that flash in her eyes. Interesting. These humans had some fire in them after all. He stepped back and addressed all four. You will not last. In 3 days, you will be crying and begging to go home to your little Earth. In 1 week, you will be in the medical bay. In 2 weeks, and he paused for effect. In 2 weeks, you will be dead. The alien cadets laughed and nodded. Everyone knew humans were weak. Earth was far away and unimportant. These 4 creatures would be gone soon. But Li Jin spoke up. Permission to ask a question, sir? Vextar was surprised. New cadets never asked questions on the first day. What? When do we start training, sir? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Vextar stared at the human. Most cadets asked when they could rest or eat or call home. This one wanted to start fighting. You want to start? Vextar asked slowly. Yes, sir. You want to begin the training that will destroy you? Yes, sir. Vextar looked at the other 3 humans. They all nodded. Something cold moved in Vextar's chest. These humans were not acting right. They should be scared. They should be begging. Instead, they wanted to fight. Very well, Vextar said. We will start now. He pointed to a wall covered with screens showing different training courses. That is the survival combat course. It takes most cadets 3 months to pass. The record holder Thokmar the Graxian passed it in 18 days. He pointed to the biggest Graxian in the room. Thokmar stood 9 feet tall with arms like tree trunks. His stone skin had scars from many battles. No cadet has ever tried the full course in their first week, Vextar continued. It would be suicide. Li Jin looked at the screens. They showed horrible things. Ice chambers cold enough to freeze blood, fire rooms hot enough to melt metal, fighting simulations with monsters that gave experienced soldiers nightmares. Can we try it? Li Jin asked. The room went completely quiet. Even the air system seemed to stop humming. Vexitar's 4 arms dropped to his sides. What did you say? Can we attempt the survival combat course, sir? Every alien in the room stared. Thokmar the Graxian made a sound like falling rocks. He was laughing so hard he could barely breathe. Attempt? Vexitar said. You want to attempt the course that has killed dozens of experienced warriors? Yes, sir. Vexitar looked around the room. All the alien cadets were watching. Some were laughing. Others looked shocked. A few seemed worried that the humans had gone completely insane. The regulations say any cadet can attempt any course, Vextar said slowly. But no one has ever been stupid enough to try the full course on their first day. We would like to try, sir, Park Soo said quietly. All of you? Yes, sir, all 4 humans said together. Vextar felt something he had not felt in 20 years of training soldiers. He felt uncertain. These humans were either very brave or very stupid, maybe both. Very well, he said finally. Tomorrow morning, you will attempt the survival combat course. When you fail, and you will fail, I will personally carry your broken bodies to the medical bay. He turned to the other cadets. Everyone will watch. You will see what happens to creatures who think they are stronger than they really are. The humans nodded. They did not look scared. They looked eager. As the group broke up for evening meal, Vextar watched the 4 humans walk away together. They talked quietly among themselves, but he could not hear their words. For the first time in his career, Drill Sergeant Vextar felt a small cold feeling in his crystal heart. These humans were different from any cadets he had ever seen. Tomorrow would be interesting. Tomorrow would change everything. The next morning came too soon for Drill Sergeant Vextar. He had not slept well. All night he thought about the 4 humans who wanted to try the survival combat course. Maybe he should stop them. Maybe this was a bad idea. But it was too late. Now. Word had spread through the academy like fire. Everyone wanted to see the humans fail. The training hall was full of alien cadets and instructors. Even Academy Commander Zolthak had come to watch. Vextar stood before the entrance to the course. It was a massive metal door with warning signs in 12 different alien languages. All the signs said the same thing. Danger, only trained warriors. Beyond this point. Last chance, Vextar said to the 4 humans. You can walk away now. No one will think less of you. That was a lie. Everyone would think less of them. But Vextar felt he had to try. Li Jin looked at the door, then at his 3 companions. We are ready, sir. Vextar sighed. His crystal skin had turned a darker blue, a sign of worry in his species. Very well, the course has 5 sections. Each section tests different skills. Most cadets fail in the first section. He pointed to a screen showing the course layout. Section 1 is zero gravity combat. Section 2 is extreme temperature survival. Section 3 is psychological warfare. Section 4 is tactical problem solving. Section 5 is escape and evasion. The watching aliens murmured among themselves. Even seeing the sections listed was scary. The fastest time ever recorded, Vextar continued, was 18 days by Thokmar the Graxian. He pointed to the huge stone-skinned warrior in the crowd. Most cadets take months. Some never pass at all. Dr. Yelena, the Academy's medical officer, stepped forward. She was a tall, thin alien with silver skin and 6 arms. I must protest this, she said. These humans have not had proper preparation. They could die in there. The regulations are clear, Commander Zolthak said. His voice was deep and wet like speaking underwater. Any cadet may attempt any course. We will monitor them closely. Dr. Ann? Yelena set up medical scanners around the course entrance. Her 6 arms moved quickly, checking equipment. Their life signs will be watched every second, she said. If anything goes wrong, we pull them out immediately. Li Jin stepped forward. We understand the risks, sir. We want to try. Vextar looked at the human. Li Jin was small and thin compared to the alien warriors around him. His skin had no armor. His hands had no claws. He looked like he would break if someone pushed him too hard. Only one person can attempt the course at a time, Vextar said. Who goes first? I do, Li Jin said without hesitation. Park Sue put her hand on his shoulder. Are you sure? Li Jin nodded. If something goes wrong, you 3 can learn from my mistakes. Choi Yu smiled. It was the first time Vextar had seen any of the humans smile. Nothing will go wrong, she said. You got this. Strange words, Vextar thought. You got this. What did that mean? The course door opened with a loud grinding sound. Beyond it was darkness. Red lights flashed, showing the way to the first section. Time starts now, Vextar announced. Li Jin walked into the darkness. The door closed behind him, with a final sounding. Bang in the control room, dozens of screens showed Li Jin's progress. Dr. Yelena watched his life signs. His heart rate was steady. His breathing was calm. Too calm for someone about to face death. Section 1 beginning, announced the computer voice. On the screens, everyone could see Li Jin enter a large room. Suddenly, gravity turned off. Most cadets would panic here. Without gravity, moving became very hard. Fighting became almost impossible. Mechanical enemies appeared. Training robots designed to test combat skills in zero gravity. They moved fast and hit hard. Most cadets spent hours just learning how to move without floating helplessly. But Li Jin did something strange. Instead of fighting the lack of gravity, he used it. He pushed off walls to move faster than the robots. Expected. When a robot attacked, he let himself float backward, making the robot miss, then pushed forward to strike back. That's not possible, muttered Thokmar. It took me 3 days to learn zero-gravity movement. He moves like he was born in space, Dr. Yelena said, watching her scanners. His brain activity is unusual. Li Jin finished Section 1 in 12 minutes. The previous best time was 4 hours. Section 2 beginning, the computer announced. This was the temperature section. The room became burning hot, then freezing cold, then hot again. The changes happened fast. Most cadets needed special equipment to survive. Many passed out from the shock. Li Jin entered the room wearing only his basic uniform. The temperature displays showed numbers that would kill most aliens. But Li Jin kept walking. When the room became an oven, he controlled his breathing and moved slowly to save energy. When it became a freezer, he moved faster to keep warm. His body temperature is staying normal, Dr. Yelena said in amazement. How is that possible? 15 minutes later, Li Jin finished Section 2. The watching. Aliens had stopped talking. They just stared at the screens. Section 3 beginning. This was the fear section. The room would show each person their worst nightmares. It used advanced technology to read minds and create the most terrifying experiences possible. Strong. Warriors had been found crying in corners, broken by what they saw. Li Jin entered the room. The screens went dark. The fear section was private. Only life sign monitors could show what happened inside. But Dr. Yelena's equipment showed something impossible. Li Jin's fear responses were not activating. His stress hormones stayed normal. His heart rate actually slowed down. What is he? Seeing in there? Commander Zolthak asked. I don't know, Dr. Yelena replied. But whatever it is, he's not afraid of it. 18 minutes later, Li Jin walked out of Section 3. He looked calm, almost bored. Section 4 beginning. The tactical section tested intelligence and problem-solving. Cadets faced complex puzzles, battle scenarios, and strategic challenges. Most alien military minds needed days to work through all the problems. Li Jin moved through the section like he was taking a simple test. He solved puzzles that had stumped experienced officers. He found solutions to battle scenarios that military academics had debated for years. He's not just solving them, observed Commander Zolthak. He's finding better solutions than we have. In our answer files. 22 minutes for Section 4. Section 5 beginning. The final section was escape and evasion. Cadets had to get through a maze full of traps, sensors, and hunting robots. They had to be invisible, silent, and smart. Most took hours just to understand the layout. Li Jin entered the maze. On the monitors, the watchers could see him moving like a ghost. He avoided every trap, stayed hidden from every sensor, and slipped past hunting robots that should have caught him easily. He moves like water, whispered a Zolani instructor. He thinks like a machine, added a Krathan officer. 13 minutes later, Li Jin emerged from the final exit. Total time, 1 hour and 20 minutes. The hall was completely silent. Every alien stared at the displays showing Li Jin's time. 18 days was the old record. This human had done it in just over 1 hour. Dr. Yelena's scanners beeped. His stress levels are lower now than when he started, she said in a shaky voice. Li Jin walked back to where his 3 companions waited. He was not breathing hard, he was not sweating. He looked like he had just taken a pleasant walk. How was it? Park Su asked. Li Jin shrugged. Not too bad. The fear section was kind of boring. Boring. He called the section that broke experienced warriors boring. Vextar felt his forearms begin to shake. His crystal skin had turned almost white, the color of shock in his species. That, he said slowly, is not possible. Li Jin looked at him with those calm, dark eyes. Should we try to do better next time, sir? Better? He wanted to do better than the impossible time he had just achieved. Vextar started to speak, then stopped. For the first time in 20 years, the drill sergeant had no words. Commander. Zolthak stepped forward. His large eyes were wide with disbelief. How? He asked. How what, sir? Li Jin replied. How did you do that? Li Jin thought for a moment. I just did what seemed right, sir. What seemed right? Like it was the most Natural thing in the galaxy. Park Soo stepped forward. Can I try next, sir? Vextar looked at her. If Li Jin could do the impossible, what could the others do? He was afraid to find out, but he was more afraid not to know. Yes, he said quietly. You can try. As Park Soo walked toward the course entrance, Vextar realized something that made his crystal blood run cold. These humans were not just different. They were dangerous. Dr. Yelena could not sleep. It had been 3 days since Li Jin broke the course record. 3 days since her worldview shattered like glass. She sat in her medical lab, staring at test results that made no sense. Li Jin's blood samples were on her desk. His brain scans filled her computer screens. Everything about this human defied logic. The door opened. Vexatar walked in, his forearms hanging at his sides. His crystal skin was pale blue, the color of confusion in his species. Doctor, he said quietly, I need to understand. Understand? What? Dr. Yelena asked, though she knew the answer. How did he do it? How did they all do it? Dr. Yelena looked at her screens. Yesterday, Park Soo had completed the course in 1 hour and 15 minutes. She had found completely different solutions than Li Jin. Kim Do had finished in 1 hour and 8 minutes using tactics that made the instructors rewrite their manuals. And Choi Yu, the youngest-looking human, had beaten them all at 55 minutes. 55 minutes. Then she had politely suggested ways to improve the course. I have been studying them for 3 days, Dr. Yelena said. What I found scares me. She pointed to Li Jin's brain scan. Look at this. When he entered the fear section, his brain did something I have never seen. Instead of shutting down from terror, it opened up. It processed the fear and turned it into focus. Vextar moved closer. What does that mean? It means fear makes them stronger, not weaker. Dr. Yelena pulled up more scans. And look at their stress responses. When most beings face danger, their bodies break down. These humans, their bodies improve. Their hearts pump better. Their minds work faster. Their muscles get stronger. Showed him Park Soo's test results. This female human showed no fatigue after the course. Her energy levels were higher than when she started. The course did not drain her. It charged her up. Vextar felt cold. That is not natural. No, Dr. Yelena agreed. It is not natural for us, but it is perfectly natural for them. She turned to her computer and pulled up a file. I have been researching their home world, Earth. The screen showed images of a blue and green planet. It looked peaceful and beautiful. Looks nice, Vextar said. It is a death world, Dr. Yelena replied. Vextar stared at her. What? Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. Only the most dangerous planets get that rating. More images appeared. Ice ages that covered continents. Volcanoes that blocked out the sun. Diseases that killed millions. Wars that lasted decades. For millions of years, Dr. Yelena explained. Everything on Earth tried to kill everything else. The weather, the animals, the plants, even tiny germs that we cannot see. Only the strongest survived. She showed him images of Earth's animals. Lions, with teeth like knives. Sharks that had not changed in millions of years because they were already perfect killers. Bears that could tear through metal. And humans? Vextar asked. Humans survived it all. They did not just survive. They won. They became the top species, on a planet where everything else was trying to kill them. Dr. Yelena pulled up historical records. They survived ice ages that would have frozen our species solid. They lived through diseases that killed most of their own people. They fought wars with weapons that could destroy entire cities. But they look so weak, Vextar said. That is the scary part. They look weak. But they are not. Their bodies are designed for survival. Their minds are built for solving problems under pressure. They do not have claws or armor because they do not need them. They have something better. What? Adaptability, intelligence, and something we do not have. Which is? Dr. Yelena looked at him with her large silver eyes. They refused to give up. Ever. She showed him more test results. I studied their brain chemistry. When facing impossible situations, most species release chemicals that make them want to run away or hide. Humans? They release chemicals that make them want to fight harder. Vextar was quiet for a long time, then he asked, "Are they dangerous?" "To enemies, yes. Very dangerous." Dr. Yelena paused. "But they seem to want to be friends. That might be the only thing that saves us." The door chimed. Commander Zolthak entered, his massive body filling the doorway. His wet breathing filled the room. "Doctor, Sergeant, we need to talk." They followed him to a secure meeting room. The walls were covered with screens showing data from across the galaxy. "I have been doing research too," Commander Zolthak said. "What I found changes everything." He activated the screens. They showed star maps, military records, and intelligence reports. "These 4 humans are not soldiers," he began. Li Jin was studying literature at a human university. Park Soo worked as a cook in a restaurant. Kim Do fixed computers for a living. Choi Yu taught children in a school. Vextar felt his crystal skin turn white. "You mean they are civilians?" "Yes. Random civilians who volunteered for military service. They are not their best. They are not their strongest. They are just normal humans." The room fell silent. Normal humans had just destroyed every military record the Academy had. Commander Zoltak continued. "I contacted Earth Command to ask about their military. The response I got made me very nervous." He showed them a message from Earth. It was polite and friendly, but the words were terrifying. "Thank you for accepting our civilian volunteers. We hope they do well in basic training. Our actual military personnel are currently busy, but we look forward to future cooperation." "Civilian volunteers," Dr. Yelena repeated slowly. "These are their amateurs." "It gets worse," Commander Zolthak said. "I asked about their military history. Humans have been fighting wars for their entire, recorded history. Not just against animals or nature, but against each other. New images appeared. Human soldiers in different time periods, ancient warriors with metal swords, modern fighters with weapons that could level mountains. They have been perfecting the art of war for thousands of years. They have fought in every possible environment. They have used every possible weapon. They have faced every possible enemy, including themselves," Dr. Yelena added quietly. "Yes. They fought wars against their own species for centuries. They learned to defeat enemies who thought exactly like them. That is the hardest kind of war to win." Vextar looked at the screens. "What are you saying?" "I am saying," Commander Zolthak replied, "that we just discovered the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and they want to be our allies." "That is good, right?" Vextar asked. "Maybe. But what happens when their real military arrives?" The 3 aliens sat in silence thinking about that question. Finally, Dr. Yelena spoke. "I ran some calculations. Based on what these 4 civilians can do, I estimated what their trained soldiers might be capable of. And the computer could not process the results. It kept saying the numbers were impossible." Commander Zolthak activated another screen. "I have been in contact with the Galactic Council. They want to offer Earth full membership immediately. Not as junior partners, but as equals." "After seeing 4 humans," Vextar asked. "After seeing what 4 untrained humans can do, yes." "The Council is not stupid. They can do math too." Dr. Yelena pulled up her final report. "I have one more thing to show you. I studied their genetic code." The screen filled with complex diagrams. "Every human carries the genetic memory of survival. Their bodies remember how to fight, how to adapt, how to overcome. It is built into their very cells." "All of them?" Vextar asked. "All of them. Every single human is a potential warrior. Even their children show these traits." Commander Zolthak stood up. "Gentlemen, lady, we have a decision to make. These humans will either be our greatest allies or our worst enemies. I suggest we make sure they stay friends." He looked at them both. Because if humanity ever decides we are a threat, we will not survive the encounter. As they left the meeting room, Vextar thought about the 4 humans currently sleeping in the academy barracks. They looked so small and harmless. But now he knew the truth. They were not harmless at all. They were apex predators from a world that had tried to kill them for millions of years, and they had won. The galaxy was about to change forever. 2 weeks had passed since the humans arrived at the academy. Everything had changed. Vextar stood in the main training hall, watching something impossible. Park Sue was teaching a combat class. Her students were not humans. They were alien cadets who had trained for months. "Remember," Park Sue said in her calm voice, "do not fight against your body. Work with it. Find its natural movement." She demonstrated a fighting technique. It looked simple, but Vextar knew it was not. She was showing them how to turn their weaknesses into strengths. Thokmar, the massive Graxian who had held the course record, raised his stone hand. "Instructor Park Sue, I do not understand. My body is built for heavy attacks. How can I move like you?" Park Sue smiled. "You do not need to move like me. You need to move like you, but better." She walked over to the giant alien. "Your people are strong and tough, but you try to be fast like a Zilani. That is wrong. Be strong like a Graxian, but be smart about it." She showed him how to use his weight as a weapon instead of something that slowed him down, how to turn his heavy movements into unstoppable attacks. In 10 minutes, Thokmar was fighting better than he had in years of training. "How does she do that?" whispered another instructor. Vextar did not know. But he was starting to understand that humans saw things differently. They did not just learn, they taught. They did not just adapt, they helped others adapt too. Across the hall, Kim Du was working with a group of Zilani cadets. These were the fastest, most agile aliens in the academy. Their razor claws could cut through metal. They had trained since childhood to be perfect warriors, but Kim Do was showing them things they had never seen. "Speed is not just about moving fast," he explained. "It is about thinking fast. Your claws are weapons, yes, but your mind is your best weapon." He set up a complex training scenario: multiple enemies, changing conditions, limited time. The kind of situation that usually confused even experienced fighters. "Do not just react," Kim Do said. "Predict. Think 3 moves ahead. See the pattern." The Zilani tried his method. Suddenly, they were not just fast. They were smart fast. They were solving problems while they fought, adapting to new situations in seconds. Their instructor, a veteran Zilani warrior named Slikara, watched in amazement. "In 20 years of training, I never learned to think like that." In another section of the hall, Choi Yu was working with the weakest cadets, aliens who had struggled with basic training. Species that were naturally small or fragile who often failed out of the academy. But under Choi Yu's teaching, they were thriving. "Strong does not mean big," she told them. "Smart does not mean slow. Every weakness can become a strength if you know how." She showed a small Pelian cadet, a species known for being nervous and weak, how to use his natural jumpiness as an advantage. His quick reflexes and ability to sense danger became powerful tools. Within days, cadets who were ready to quit were passing tests they had failed for months. And Li Jin? He was not teaching classes. He was studying. He spent hours in the academy, library, reading military histories from across the galaxy. He studied every species, every war, every battle. He read about weapons, tactics, and strategies that most aliens had never heard of. When instructors asked him questions, his answers were always surprising. "What would you do against a Krathan phalanx?" asked instructor Veltoth during a strategy class. Li Jin thought for a moment. "I would not fight them directly. Krathan are disciplined and strong in formation, but they rely on staying together. Separate them, and they become much weaker." "How would you separate them?" "Create multiple problems at once. Force them to split their attention. Attack from unexpected angles. Make them choose between protecting their formation and protecting themselves." Veltoth stared at him. "That is, That is exactly what the Hegemony Wars manual recommends. But that manual is classified. How did you know? Li Jin shrugged. It seemed logical. Similar conversations were happening all over the academy. Humans were not just excelling at training, they were revolutionizing it. But this success was causing problems. In the academy, command center, emergency meetings were happening every day. Commander Zolthak sat at the head of a long table, his tentacles writhing with stress. The situation is getting out of control, he said to the assembled instructors and officers. How? Asked Dr. Yelena. The humans are helping everyone improve. That is the problem, Commander Zolthak replied. They are helping too much. He activated the room's displays. Charts and graphs filled the screens. Look at these performance ratings. In 2 weeks, the overall academy scores have improved by 300%. Cadets are passing tests that should take months to master. Our entire training system is being rewritten. Instructor Veltoth nodded. The humans see problems we never noticed. They find solutions we never considered. It is like they think in a different way. They do think differently, Dr. Yelena said. Their brains evolved to solve survival problems. To them, every challenge is just another puzzle to figure out. Commander Zolthak's tentacles curled tighter. But what happens when they leave here? What happens when they go back to Earth and share what they have learned? The room fell silent. Everyone understood the implication. They will train their entire military, Vextar said slowly. They will take our best techniques and make them better. And then they will create new techniques we have never seen, added Dr. Yelena. Commander, Zolthak stood up. I have been in contact with the Galactic Council. They are concerned. Concerned about what? Asked Veltoth. About humanity's potential. 4 untrained humans have already changed our entire military academy. What happens when millions of trained human soldiers spread across the galaxy? He pulled up a new display. It showed military projections and threat assessments. The Council's war computers have run every possible scenario. In every simulation where humanity becomes hostile, we lose. Not just battles, entire civilizations. But they are not hostile, Dr. Yelena protested. They want to be allies. For now. But what if that changes? What if we do something to make them angry? What if someone attacks Earth? Vexitar thought about Li Jin's calm eyes, about Park Su's gentle teaching, about Kim Do's quiet intelligence, about Choi Yu's friendly smile. They seemed so peaceful, so helpful, so harmless. But he remembered what Dr. Yelena had told him. These were apex predators from a death world. They had survived by being the most dangerous things on their planet. What does the Council want us to do? He asked. Commander Zolthak was quiet for a long moment. They are debating 3 options. 1. Offer humanity full partnership immediately. Give them everything they want to keep them happy. That sounds reasonable, Dr. Yelena said. 2. Try to limit their growth. Control how much they learn and how fast they advance. That sounds dangerous, Vextar said. If they find out, they might become hostile. 3. Commander Zolthak paused. Eliminate the threat before it becomes too large. The room went cold. Everyone stared at him. You mean war? Veltoth asked. Preemptive action. Strike before they become too powerful. Dr. Yelena stood up quickly. That is insane. They have done nothing wrong. Yet, Commander Zolthak said, but the projections show that once they fully develop their military potential, stopping them may be impossible. Vextar felt sick. What will the Council decide? I do not know, but I fear they will choose option 3. Through the command center's windows, they could see the training grounds. The 4 humans were there helping other cadets with their exercises. They looked so young and innocent. We need to warn them, Dr. Yelena said. Warn them of what? Commander Zolthak asked. That we are considering attacking their home world because they are too good at military training? Yes. Commander Zolthak shook his head. That would definitely make them hostile. And if they become hostile now, while we still have a chance to win, He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Vextar looked at his hands. His forearms were shaking. In 20 years of training soldiers, he had never been afraid of cadets before. But these were not normal cadets, these were humans, and the galaxy was about to make a very big mistake. Graduation day had arrived. The Academy's great hall was filled with alien families proud to see their children become soldiers, but all eyes were on 4 small figures in the front row. Li Jin, Park Soo, Kim Do, and Choi Yu sat quietly, wearing their new uniforms. They had not just graduated, they had broken every record the Academy had, but more than that, they had changed everything. Commander Zolthak stood at the podium, his massive form casting shadows across the stage. His speech was different than usual. Instead of talking about honor and duty, he talked about change in the future. Today, he said, we graduate not just new soldiers, but new teachers. These cadets have shown us that there is always a better way to do things. Always room to grow, always something new to learn. In the audience, alien families whispered among themselves. Everyone knew about the humans. Everyone had heard the stories. After the ceremony, Vextar found himself alone with Li Jin in the hallway. The human was looking at a display showing the Academy's new training programs that were based on human methods. Congratulations, Vextar said. You did something I thought was impossible. What is that, sir? You changed my mind about what soldiers can be. Li Jin smiled. We just did our best, sir. Vextar looked at this small human who had turned his world upside down. Can I ask you something? Of course. When you first attempted the survival combat course, were you really trying your hardest? Li Jin was quiet for a moment. Then he looked at Vextar with those calm, dark eyes. No, sir. I was being careful not to scare anyone. The words hit Vextar like a punch. How much were you holding back? Maybe 70%? 70%. Li Jin had broken every record while only using 30% of his ability. Why? Vextar asked. Because we want to be friends, sir, not enemies. Friends. This human could have humiliated every alien in the Academy, could have shown dominance and superiority. Instead, he had chosen to be gentle. Do all humans think like you? Vextar asked. Most of us, yes. We learned a long time ago that making friends is better than making enemies. Vextar thought about the Council's debates, about the fear in the command center, about the discussions of preemptive war. What if someone attacked Earth, he asked. Li Jin's expression did not change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. That would be a mistake, sir. Why? Because we are very good at protecting our friends, and we are very good at stopping our enemies. The simple words carried weight that made Vextar's crystal skin turn pale. 3 months later, the first joint human-alien military operation launched. A pirate fleet had been terrorizing the Outer Rim for decades. Previous attempts to stop them had failed. The operation was planned using human tactical methods. It was executed by mixed human-alien units. It was completed in 3 days. The pirates surrendered after the first battle. They had never seen anything like the coordinated assault that hit them. Human strategy combined with alien strength created something unstoppable. News of the victory spread across the galaxy. Other threats that had seemed permanent suddenly seemed manageable. 6 months later, the first human military advisors arrived at the Academy. Not civilians like the original 4, but actual soldiers from Earth's armed forces. Vextar met them at the landing pad. There were 10 of them, men and women in simple uniforms. They looked unremarkable, like any other humans. But their leader, a woman named Colonel Hansu, carried herself differently. She moved with the quiet confidence of someone who had seen real war and survived. Drill Sergeant Vextar? She asked. Yes, ma'am. I hear you trained our kids well. Li Jin sent us a report. He was very impressed with your academy. He was impressed with us? Vextar could not hide his surprise. Colonel Hansu smiled. Of course. He said you took 4 scared civilians and helped them become confident soldiers. That is good teaching. Scared. Civilians. Li Jin had been scared? He seemed very calm to me, Vextar said. Oh, he was terrified, Colonel Hansu laughed. All 4 of them were. They had never been away from Earth before, never seen aliens, never been in a real military situation. But they performed so well, because you taught them well, and because being scared makes humans work harder, not give up. She looked around the academy. Li Jin also said your people were worried about us, about what we might do with all this military knowledge. Vextar felt uncomfortable. There were concerns. I understand. We have the same concerns about new species we meet. It is natural to be careful. She pulled out a small device and handed it to him. This is a direct communication link to Earth Command. If you ever have questions about human intentions, use it. We believe in being honest with our friends. Friends? That is what we want to be. Li Jin told us how well you treated our people, how you helped them grow. Friends help friends. Over. The following months, human instructors worked alongside alien trainers. They did not replace anyone. They just added new ideas, new methods, new possibilities. The Academy's performance ratings continued to climb, but more importantly, graduates were reporting higher satisfaction, better teamwork, and more creative problem-solving. Vextar found himself working closely with Major Kim Hei, a human combat instructor. At first, he had been nervous, but Kim Hei was patient, respectful, and eager to learn alien techniques as much as he taught human ones. Your species has interesting advantages, Kim Hei told him one day. 4. Arms give you capabilities we do not have. We should develop fighting styles that use that. You want to learn from us? Vextar asked. Of course. Good ideas can come from anywhere. That is what makes cooperation better than competition. 1 year after the humans first arrived, Vextar received an invitation. Earth wanted to send alien instructors to their military academies. Cultural exchange, shared learning. Would you like to go? Commander Zolthak asked him. Vextar thought about it. A year ago, he would have been terrified to visit the human homeworld. Now? Yes, he said. I would like to see what we can learn from each other. The ship that took him to Earth was crewed by both humans and aliens. The cooperation was seamless, natural, like they had been working together for decades instead of months. When they arrived at Earth, Vextar was surprised. He had expected a militarized world covered in weapons and fortifications. Instead, he saw blue oceans, green forests, and peaceful cities. It is beautiful, he told Captain Li Min, the human ship commander. We like it, Captain Li Min replied. This is what we fight to protect, not to conquer or dominate, just to keep our home safe. At Earth's main military academy, Vextar met with human generals and admirals. They were polite, professional, and eager to share knowledge, but he also saw their training facilities, their weapons, their soldiers. And he understood why the Council had been afraid. Human military power was not just about strength or technology. It was about thinking, about adapting, about never giving up. If humanity ever decided to conquer the galaxy, nothing could stop them. But after spending time with them, Vextar knew they never would. Why do you not want to rule? He asked General Park Jun during dinner. Rule what? The general replied. Rule other people? Make them do things they do not want to do. That sounds exhausting. But you could. You are strong enough. Strong enough to force people, maybe, but not strong enough to make them happy. And unhappy people make poor friends. Friends. It always came back to that word with humans. When Vextar returned to the academy, he found Li Jin waiting for him. The human had been promoted to assistant, instructor. How was Earth? Li Jin asked. Terrifying, Vextar replied honestly. And wonderful. That sounds about right, Li Jin laughed. Can I ask you something? Vextar said. Always. Why did you really come here? To the academy? Li Jin thought for a moment. Because we knew you were all afraid of us. We wanted to show you that fear was not necessary. By being the best soldiers we had ever seen? No. By being friends first, soldiers second. Bextar understood now. The humans had not come to conquer or dominate. They had come to prove they could be trusted, and they had succeeded. The galaxy was changing. Old fears were fading. New cooperation was growing, and in the Academy's training halls, human and alien instructors worked side by side, teaching the next generation that the universe was big enough for everyone. As Vexitar watched Li Jin help, a young Graxian cadet with his combat form, he realized something wonderful. The future was going to be amazing.